and especially with what the work that you're all doing, how oftentimes, way too often, that the medical profession is going to intervene and make suggestions, as you witnessed during your recent labor that you're part of. That interventions are suggested, often strongly suggested or demanded and expected, when there could have been an easier, natural way to do things. It's just a matter of time. And so when they talk about medications that are being thrown out there, we need medication. Put this, we're treating the ill with the pill, and how that's going to relate to your work, and how we as doulas, as women, as healers can intervene and offer our mamas safe passage. But so I wanted to definitely get.
Can I interject in? Absolutely. Thank you. That's especially true of situations like gestational diabetes and preeclampsia. And those are two situations that we can really, really help the vast majority of mamas to never have to experience. Because that has almost everything to do with her emotional, what's going on around her in the wide world of sports, and what she's putting in her mouth or not putting in her mouth. Okay? So back to you.
So I wanted to open it up and see what people's reactions were so far about the movie that we're watching. I have a couple of points that I wanted to interject, but I definitely want to feel how people are receiving this movie right now. Strong feelings.
I never knew what to believe. You always read different things, like when you try to Google stuff. Like I was trying to see how many vitamins I'm supposed to take. Mm-hmm. So it was all kinds of information. I didn't know what to take from it. So I just sort of thought in my head, like, okay, if I had a healthy day today of eating, then I'm not gonna take my multivitamin, because then maybe that's too many vitamins. So maybe if I had a bad day of eating, I'll take my multivitamin, because I didn't know, like, if it's too much, then it might be dangerous. Like, I just didn't know. And now I'm hearing that just take many vitamins. I think there's only one or two kind of vitamins that you have to watch out for the ranges. But again, like, I just don't have enough information. So I just stay on the safe side and not take too many vitamins.
In my case, I've seen this movie and it's really good because it opened up the eyes for people who don't have much information about it. And it's like all concise and proof,
right?
Which is what is lacking for what the other people is saying. In my case, I do believe like the nutrition is the first source of vitamins, but this American diet is lacking that. So why say do not drink vitamins when most of them do need them? So it's a matter of changing our lifestyles in order to have the adequate vitamins.
How many of you were present when I showed the documentary, The Corporation? I tend to show that very often in this class. You guys are relatively new, so you may not have seen it. It'll come. I think it's really important for anyone in a holistic health field to have watched it. And it's really important for us to look at, these industries that need to make a lot of money off of us. Medicine is one of those industries that needs to make a lot of money off of us. So we look at how we're given information, and the kind of information that we're given, it's about not giving us the appropriate information, so we will be sick, so we will go make the medical industry a lot of money. So if they get us all confused, and if they get us distrusting indigenous ways or earth-based ways, earth-based ways, holistic things don't tend to make a lot of money. Vitamin C doesn't cost that much. You can't make a big killing off of selling it, And we also have to talk about what kind of vitamin C, because not all vitamin C is the good stuff. But, these things that can healing people's trauma, you could wipe out so much sickness on the planet just from healing people's trauma from their childhood, healing the trauma of this young mama we were talking about earlier, making sure she gets adequate care. We would not have to worry about her having perhaps preeclampsia or having, need to be C-sectioned in her labor. But all those things, to really take care of people, costs a lot of money that the society doesn't want to spend. And it's not a product that you can sell and make a profit off of. Like a healthy person, a corporate mind doesn't see the profit in that. Because actually a lot of money is made off of sick bodies. You know? And that's like a really hard reality. I've had students disperse into tears thinking about that. I started showing certain films in my class because I had beautiful, open-hearted students who would just be like, why is it so hard? Why is it so hard just to go have a baby? I didn't, these poor mamas that just want to have their babies and be like, it's so hard because people are trying to extract dollars from their bodies.
Big business.
Big business.
That's especially in hospitals, labor, the labor unit is the most profitable in the hospital, which is why. A
hospital that has a labor and delivery unit, generally speaking, about 75% of the revenues of the hospital comes from there.
We wonder why they're pushing all of these interventions on our women.
Mm-hmm.
How else are they make their money? But I like your comment about the vitamins and how you weren't aware of the vitamins, but somewhere in your consciousness, somebody told you that too many vitamins were bad. And I think we've all heard that somewhere, like you can't have too many, do not put too many vitamins. And again, we're hearing the research is 10 deaths. 10 in 23 years.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to hundreds of thousands of deaths with medication that's been prescribed. And because people who are doing the research, they know. That's why you see every commercial has, and the side effects, blah, 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 blah. You're wondering, okay, what? Right, exactly.
Like who, why do people take this stuff? What do they take?
I just had a restless leg and now I'm gonna die?
I just have a boil on my butt. I mean, come on now.
But I do want to say it does depend on the vitamin, because if you're getting the
synthetic
thing,
mm-hmm.
vitamin A, if you have too much of that can be very toxic. Synthetic iron, synthetic anything, synthetic vitamin C can be very toxic.
Yes.
But if you're getting good quality food-based supplements, if you're not able to, get everything from the earth with realistically, unless you live on a farm with excellent minerals and soil, you're not getting everything that you need.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're good quality food-based supplements,
and that's very important to know.
Good, yeah.
It's not like Costco, 2,000 vitamin C's in a tub. That's not the good stuff.
And the same thing with like the omega-3 supplements. You have to be careful, with that as well. Mm-hmm. I have to say, I really appreciate you showing this video. I haven't seen it yet, and it's just like so awesome. And I just, I always talk about incorporating some raw in people's diets, but I never thought about 51%. I mean, because I, for one, like meat.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But, of course, not 75% of my diet is going to be meat.
Exactly. Exactly.
But I really appreciate the depth that they explained, the importance of raw foods in the diet.
And that's another important piece too for myself. Like I'm I think the PC term is a paleo eater. I'm more of a paleo diet because everybody's like, oh, low carb has been so trash and nobody wants to say it anymore. Mm-hmm. I'm a low carb eater. However, the carbs that I do eat are green leafy vegetables off the wazoo. I just don't eat bread and pasta and empty white calories. But I take in a large number of carbs, but they're all green. Broccoli and collards and da-da-da. Fruits. I love fruits. Kale. I dream about kale. I can't wait. We're having kale.
I was once told in my nutrition class that if you're going to buy vitamins, also be aware of the percentage they have, because sometimes vitamins, they're 250% of these, 300%, and you need 100%. Why would you eat 200%, 300%? So also the amounts of vitamins.
Well, that's what the gentleman was saying too.
Yeah.
Too many, you can never have enough vitamins. You don't have to. There's
You have to
vitamin C says some of the things will say, some of the bottles will say 1,000% of your daily income. But again, like if you want to treat or prevent, then you want 1,000 or more. They were saying, I don't know if they said it before, while I was in the potty room, but they were treating cancer with 250,000 milligrams treating cancer. Cancer was gone with vitamin C. Who does that? Not our medical establishment. Apparently, the chemotherapy, which is meant to literally kill, it's meant to kill the cells. It kills good cells and bad cells, which is why it's so toxic to our system. But heaven forbid they suggest, here, have 100,000 milligrams of vitamin C. We'll see what that does. Come back, and you'll stay in the hospital and we'll monitor you. It doesn't happen. But vitamins can cure in high doses. And yes, there are some toxicities possibly, but again, where is that coming from? The synthetic pieces. You can't have too many greens. I'm not going to give you I can't give you 8 pounds of greens and tell you that's going to be bad for you. You might be on the toilet for a while, but
that might be what your body needs to do. You might need to clean out.
You need to release some
So
stuff.
how would I know if I look at my multivitamin? How would I know if they're synthetic?
It'll say plant-based. If it's oops. I'm sorry.
Please. Little boys peeing on my floor. That happens every day. Yay, time to go potty.
We also have to be careful with recommending a lot of greens as well. And I haven't done too much research on it, but I know that the genetic blood disorder that I have, MTHFR, I read about a year or two ago that pregnant women especially need to be careful how much leafy greens they have. So that's good to know, because it's a blood clotting disorder, and the vitamin K in the greens can be detrimental.
Well, vitamin K is supposed to help the blood. Vitamin K is for the liver.
Well,
okay,
because you can't have anything that's going to overclot your blood with MTHFR.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's also a rare condition, too.
They say it's rare, but I read actually a few years ago that at the time it was in 40% of the population, that a lot of people just didn't know about it.
So the bottom line with this stuff is people should not be medicating or treating themselves.
Right. And they need
I
to
have
know.
a naturopath that I work with, who is my radiant good health. I credit to him and my own good sense and listening to him and following my own instincts about my body. They're nutritional people that I wouldn't have come taught in my class. There's a lot of unvalid nutritional information, people speaking based on what their preferences are. What I think is important is to find a practitioner who understands that everybody's body is different. Nobody can just tell you one thing that's going to work for everybody. And anybody who says that is lying.